Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's information event of the AMVS, the Austrian Medicines Verification Systems Limited. We appreciate your attendance this afternoon, and we hope that you will enjoy all the new things you will get to know today. Since last year's event in June 22, lots of things happened and developed, and the team of the AMVS will give you an overview. Among them, you will find new information about the development of the fee model. And I think this is a central point of this afternoon session, the further development of the AMVS as a service provider and the introduction of the ADAM. This is the AMVS Digital Alert Management System, which will be available soon, and you will get more information on that. My name is Wolfgang Andiel. I'm Deputy Chair of the AMVO, and I'm President of the Austrian Generics Association. Some housekeeping. So the stream is recorded. It will be available next week, probably on the AMVS website. You should see the slides, of course, and below the slides you find a text field where you can put in your questions, and we will answer the questions during the session. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Christoph Lendl. As you know, he is the CEO of the AMVS, and he will lead the further program.
Many thanks, Wolfgang. Warm welcome from sunny Vienna to all of you online. I'll briefly take you through the agenda of today's meeting first. So I'll be briefly introducing the organization, talk about status agreements, and as Wolfgang already teased, small changes to the fee model we're going to do in 2024. We'll have Daniel from my team talking about coding, alert statistics, as well as the new system features. Rita from our team will briefly talk to you about validation and change controls. And as already mentioned, the meeting will basically end on the quite important topic of the European Alert Management System, EAMS, and the Austrian peer of that, the ADAM tool. All right, so let's quickly jump into the organization. AMVS is a subsidiary of AMVO, AMVO being the stakeholder organization here in Austria, which is basically composed of Pharmic and Österreichischer Generika-Verband, which are the two industry representations here in Austria, as well as Fargo representing wholesalers, the Chamber of Pharmacists, and the Chamber of Doctors, given that we also have dispensing doctors here in Austria. Looking at the people who work within the AMVS, as you see, I'm the general manager. We have Rita, who handles all quality affairs of the AMVS. We have Daniel handling customer management. Both of them will be part of the presentation today. Unfortunately, our operations manager, Peter, had to call in sick, so we will do our best in trying to cover his affairs. Tanya is also helping in operations and IT. And then we obviously have AC and customer support with Madeleine, Sema, and Julian, and Jasmin helping us with our finances. What you see here is the contractual relationships we have in Austria. We have 290 pharmaceutical companies on the market who are connected to AMVS. That is the whole market. Everybody who is dispensing RX products in Austria also has a contract with us. As mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about the new fee model. There are three changes essentially. So we will look into the fixed turnover part, where we're slightly adapting the variable volume part. As you know, we have two parts of our fee. One is based on the revenue. The other one is based on the number of serial numbers which are loaded to the system. We're also going to look into the number of invoices we will be sending out next year. Let's start with the operational fee. We are going to introduce a further 10% decrease on the fixed fee compared to the 2022 fee number. We already did a decrease in 2020, and we're now in a position where we can further decrease the fees of AMVS, going down by an additional 10%. Variable fees, also here we're going to introduce a small change. We have two scales here. We have the first 2 million serial numbers are being charged with 0.007%. That number is going to remain, but everything above 2 million serial numbers as of next year is going to be decreased again from 0.004 euro cents to 0.03 euros. Lastly, as I said, we're going to slightly modify the way we invoice. The fixed turnover declaration will remain until 31st of January, so Daniel will be sending out an email regarding that after the summer as usual. Invoicing of that usually is done in the beginning of January. I think all the contracts stipulate that it has to be done before 20th of February, and that will certainly be the case next year as well. What we're changing a little bit is the way we do the volume-based invoicing. So far we have invoiced that every 3 months, and we're going to reduce the frequency here, basically going to a model where we will be invoicing until 31st of July for the first 2 quarters of the year 2024, and then the second half of the year, basically until 31st of January the following year. Our payment terms are not going to change, will remain at 30 days, and that's what we have for the fee model. So to close off the introduction, what you see right now is the end users being connected to AMVS. So as you see, again, we have the full market covered. We have 114 agreements with wholesalers, 800 with dispensing doctors. So all dispensing doctors in Austria are also connected and decommissioning packs in the system. We have all the hospitals and also all public pharmacies, being 2,422 agreements, have a valid contract with AMVS. That's what we have as intro to today's presentation. Any questions?
Yeah, maybe a question to the invoicing. So the half-year invoice will first time appear in 24. So the Q3, Q4 invoice for 23 will still done as is, right?
Exactly. So the third quarter of 2023, we will still invoice at the beginning of October. And the same for the fourth quarter, where you will see an invoice in the beginning of January. And then as of 2024, you will only be seeing 2 invoices from us.
Okay, very good. So, and these changes in the fee model, so how does this spread over the different companies?
Yeah, we tried to find a way to reduce further in a way that all companies on the market are benefiting from this. Obviously, if you look at the more specialized biotechnology companies, they will benefit more from the change of the fixed fee model, where we basically have a 10% reduction for all of them. If you look at the highly volume-based companies, which are mainly in the generics business, those will benefit quite a bit as well from the 10% on the fixed fee, but also quite substantially on the change in the variable fee that we do for all packs over 2 million serial numbers a year.
Okay, thank you for that. So I have currently one more common question in the chat, not specifically to the fee model. So I would like to park this common question for maybe the end of the session or when it would be fitting to some content. But be sure we will answer this question, of course. So thank you in the meantime, Christoph. And I now hand over to Daniel about the many questions we have still in regards of coding.
Thank you very much. A very nice afternoon. First part of the slides I will be presenting to you are about coding. Today I created the slides a little bit different. I formulated the most frequently asked questions, and I will try to answer them in a way that we will cover most of the questions that are asked over the year several times. As you might know, we have a very good document in Austria, the coding rules. These coding rules have been developed by all our stakeholders together. Currently, we are in version 4 that is already quite for a long time in place. It has been published in November 2020, but so far no changes have been necessary since that time point. This document is available on our webpage, and it's available in both languages, German and in English. So the first question that is asked very often is related to the product code. Do I have to use an NTIN as product code, or, this is always the second part of the question, can I also use a GTIN? And the answer is quite clear. If it is a single market pack, if the pack is marketed only in Austria, you have to use the NTIN for Austria. This NTIN is created out of the Austrian PZN. If you are marketing a multi-market pack, a pack that is shared between different countries, then of course you can switch to a GTIN or also to an NTIN from another country. In most cases, if an NTIN from another country is used, this is the German NTIN, because a lot of packs on the Austrian, a lot of multi-market packs on the Austrian market are shared packs between Austria and Germany. What else do I have to consider for multi-market packs? There is one thing that is very important. Coming back to what I said on the slide before, if you do not use the NTIN that is created out of the PZN, there is no possibility for the pharmacy or for the software the pharmacy uses to link the PZN that the pharmacist needs for his warehouse system or to get money from the health insurance. There is no link between this PZN and the product code, because the product code is created in a different way, if it is a GTIN or if it is a German NTIN. So there is no direct link, no mathematical link between these two numbers. So you have to do this link via two different ways that are both obligatory. The first one is you have to upload the Austrian PZN. Just to remember, the Austrian PZN has 7 digits and has its own check ticket as the 7th digit. You have to upload this number in the field national code or NHRN via the AMVO master data. You cannot upload that directly into the Austrian system. It has to be done when you create master data via the European hub. The second thing you have to do when you use a product code that is not the Austrian NTIN, you have to store this product code in the product catalog Warenverzeichnis. This is the product catalog where all pharmacies, all dispensing doctors, and also most of the hospitals get their warehouse system information from. So there is an own field for each product code, and in this field you have to enter the GTIN or the NTIN from another country if you are not using the Austrian NTIN. If you're using the Austrian NTIN, you can have this field empty, because then the PZN can be calculated out of the Austrian NTIN, because there is a direct connection that is available. And last, of course, you have to upload the batch data for all batches into all markets where the product is marketed. This has the effect that the transaction time is lower. It's not sufficient to trust on intermarket transactions. The batches have to be in all national systems where the product is marketed, and the data are later on synchronized. And finally, this is not on the slide because it's not related to coding, but we always make the companies aware that are asking us on multi-market packs that, according to the fee model Christoph has presented, multi-market packs might lead to a little bit higher variable fees, because as a general approach, you will most probably upload more data for a multi-market product than for a single market product. Just to be fair enough, we always make you aware on this matter. We're just talking about the PZN. Do I have to upload an NHRN for all products? Yes. The obligatory upload for the Austrian PZN that has just been presented on the last slide is related to all products, not only for multi-market products. It's obligatory for all products. This field has to be completed, and we will talk about it later. In the next EU Hub release, there will be also implemented a check for the NHIN, because we're still having some issues that NHINs are missing or are wrong. And this check will it not make possible for you to create new master data without a correctly created PZN. Of course, this check is not available for master data that already exist. For this master data, I will still be annoying you via email to correct your master data. Also a question that we are asked quite often, do I for some reason have to keep the linear barcode? Is there any use for this barcode? The answer is no. We recommend you to first, if you create a new product, if you create a new pack, not to print any 1D linear barcode on this new pack. There is no need. The software of the pharmacy, of the hospital, whoever, has to be able to do all things via the 2D data matrix code that have to be done. The software and also the end user has to scan no other code than the 2D code. So there is no need to create new packs with a 1D linear barcode anymore. And also, we recommend if you do a new package version, if you redesign your pack, then to remove the 1D linear barcode. There is, of course, no need to call back batches or to do a pack redesign just because of the 1D barcode. But if you're planning to do a rework of your pack design, then we would recommend to remove the 1D linear barcode. To be fair enough, there is no legal obligation to remove it, but on the other hand, there is no need to still print it. Any other news regarding coding? No, not really, but we want to remind you of a new provision that has been already presented last year. It's still in the future, but it's coming closer. Last year, in March 2022, the GS1 specifications have been adopted, and according to these specifications, from the year 25 on, it will not be allowed to use 00 for the days in the expiry date. So to give you an example, if you want to code the 31st December 2025, then you currently have two options to code that. You can use 2512.00 and 2512.31. According to the change in the GS1 specifications from January 21, for new batches produced after this date, only one option will be allowed, 2512.31. So not the 00 anymore. Regarding coding, my slides are finished, and I'm looking over if there are any questions.
Seems everything pretty clear here from my side. So there are no cases where this 1D barcode is somehow useful, convenient, or whatever.
Only if you want to skip serialization for some reason, but no. There are no reasons. Christoph and me also have attended a big pharmacy conference in March, and we have to talk to software suppliers, and they have also confirmed to us that with the 2D data matrix code, the pharmacy can do everything they have to do. There is really no need for the 1D code anymore.
Okay, so thank you. Just another question. The expiry date format, how is this then in the readable version written? Like the coded version, or is it then?
It's for the coded version, because I think for the readable, in most cases it was only used, expires by, I don't know, June 25.
There's always meant 30 years or last day of the month.
So, but if you used the day before so far, then I think you never used 00. So for the human readable, there is no change, but for the data string in the data matrix code, there is this new requirement just to use the explicit day and not to use 00 anymore.
Okay, so thank you. I think we are all excited now to see the alert statistics. And Daniel, please lead us through.
This is something quite positive we want to show you now. On the first slide, we want to show you the development of transactions in the system as well as the development of alerts in the system. These figures are an average number per working day. So an average number for each working day is calculated. You see all Januaries starting from 2020, and we can see a quite steady improvement. The number of decommissions in orange and verifications in blue is going up. And the number of alerts is in the same way going down, what means less alerts for more transactions, of course, relates in a lower alert rate. So currently this year, we are talking about 1.007%, what is even an improvement compared to the last year, where we also were quite low. So in general, we have also brought to you the last month, the May. We have to say that May in general is a very strong month, so we cannot expect that January 24 will be even higher, because the May is always higher than the January. This is due to 2 public holidays we have in May, or sometimes 3. So there are less working days in May. So of course, if you calculate the transaction per working day, then it's more per day in May. But we see as a general approach that we have around 100 alerts a day, sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more. But in average, we can talk about 100 alerts per day. But here, every alert is calculated. That means if a pack is scanned several times and causes more alerts on one day, then it's calculated several times. So the number of packs affected is much lower. It's always below 100, we can say, and it's mostly around 70, 80 per day. The next slide also makes us very proud. This is the European comparison of the alert rates. We are always with some other countries. I want to mention Slovakia, Slovenia, Czech Republic, Hungary, and Croatia. These countries have the lowest alerts rates in Europe. We are always around 0.01%, most times below that rate. And so AMVS is always among the top 3 in Europe. This is something that makes us very happy, and at the end makes less work for us and also less work for the pharmaceutical companies, of course, because especially for Austria, they do not have a lot of alerts they have to analyze and clarify. Now we want to go into more details. In this slide, we have grouped the alerts into 3 categories. And want to show you the average numbers per month for each of the year, for 23, of course, for the last 5 months. So for average for the month January to May. The 3 categories are, starting from the top, technical errors in dark red. That means errors where the data have been submitted by the end user in a wrong way. The data could not be found because of several reasons. In light red, we have the procedural errors. That means a pack has been decommissioned a second time by different end users, has been decommissioned, but it should not have been decommissioned. All these errors that are related to several decommissions on the same pack. And in green, we have the OBP errors. About them, we want to talk a little bit more in detail now, because you are the audience that we want to address with this category. The positive thing is all three categories go down. This is very good. But we see, if you calculate it on a monthly basis, of course, there is still some room for improvement. So if we go to the OBP errors, we want to compare the last 2 years. So we want to compare a month in the year 22 with a month in the year 23. And we want to see what were the main reasons for alerts caused by OBPs. So on the left side, OBP errors in an average month of 22, we can see that a little bit more than 50% were related to not uploaded batches. Then we have the non-uploaded serial numbers, what means a batch is in the system, but one or more serial numbers are missing in that batch. We call them the blind passenger packs. And we had a smaller amount of expiry date wrong that, to be fair, has only been one case in the last year that has been quite big, but if you calculate it down to one month, then it doesn't appear that big, but we will have a look on this in a few slides. Also, batch not uploaded, of course, is related to a quite little number of cases, but we can imagine if a batch is not uploaded and is delivered on the same day to a quite big number of pharmacies, then the number of alerts can increase very quickly, sometimes within hours or minutes also. So this is related to a very low number of cases that creates a high number of alerts. If we now go to the right side, and if we look to the alerts of this year, then we will see that the batch not uploaded number is lower, because we did not have such big cases so far. All the non-uploaded batches could be corrected very, very quickly, and we did not have that high number of alerts. So this number is quite low. The number of not uploaded serial numbers is still high, but has also gone down from approximately 150 a month to 110 a month. So we see here also a little bit improvement. And we have one case for packs wrongly decommissioned. We will go to that also within the next slides. Because these figures are very, let's say, theoretically and very abstract, we tried to put some cases out and want to describe some of these cases to you so that we can see what happened, and maybe you can, within your own companies, maybe also find some room for improvement if we now go through this, the next slides. So we're starting again with non-uploaded batches, and we can see one big issue, that is an MAH transfer. You know, if the MAH is transferred from one company to another, then of course the OBP means the company that is responsible for uploading the data also changes. So in a lot of cases, the master data at EMVO have to be transferred from one OBP to another one. This is mainly the case when you will use the same product code. If the new MAH will use the same product code as the old MAH, because then only one OBP can use a product code, not several OBPs. So this product code has to be transferred from one OBP to another. So we had one case in March 22 where the old MAH did not initiate the transfer, he did not release it, so the new MAH could not use these master data, but they were out of stock. Of course, they wanted to bring the products to the patients. And we had a lot of alerts, 400 packs, so even more alerts, of course. 400 packs were causing alerts in almost 3 weeks. And this is also something that did not make us very happy because it took such a long time for the two OBPs to get in contact with each other and also with us. Almost 2 weeks, we did not have any contact with the new MAH to solve this issue. So there still was room for improvement in this case. In the second case, the new MAH knew that the data were not uploaded. He also advised the pre-wholesaler, where the packs were stored, not to deliver the packs to end users. However, there were already quite a lot of asks for this product because the product was already out of stock on the market. So the pre-wholesaler delivered the packs, and we had 1,200 alerts or packs that were causing alerts in 4 days. So the new OBP needed 4 days, so almost 1 working week to correct this issue. Something we always recommend to avoid non-uploaded batches is to check every batch at the first goods receipt in your warehouse, either if it's your own warehouse or if your warehouse is located at a pre-wholesaler. For one product, we had 2 cases in March and December 22. In total, 3 batches were affected. No warehouse check has been implemented for this MAH. This MAH is, in the opinion, he doesn't need a warehouse check because all processes are under control. So we had 3 cases, 3 batches that were delivered to the end users, and we had in total 500 packs causing alerts. The 3 cases took 3 to 5 days to be solved. The second one was in December last year. Also no warehouse check. We were told that responsibilities were changed in the communication between the pre-wholesaler and the MAH, so it was forgotten to implement the warehouse check. We had 85 alerts within 2 days for this batch. The thing that concerns us a little bit more are I already mentioned them, the non-uploaded serial numbers, the blind passenger serial numbers, so incompletely uploaded batches. We see them for a very high number of products. We see them also for a very high number of MAHs and OBPs. Some cases that were a little bit outstanding was one in November 22 where we had 850 packs causing alerts in 2 days. The reason was that the batch had to be uploaded in several data sets. I don't know, one data set counting 1,000 serial numbers. One of these data sets was forgotten, and so all serial numbers of this data set that were scanned in pharmacies or other end users were creating alerts. The second is still ongoing, unfortunately. For the first case, I have to say then after these 2 days, this data set could be uploaded and all packs could be then verified and decommissioned successfully. For the second one, there was some issue on the packaging line that has not been defined further to us. So over the whole production process, serial numbers were not transferred into the OBP's data system. More than 200 packs so far were causing alerts. According to the MAH, there are still more to be expected. These serial numbers are lost, so they cannot be uploaded retrospectively. In the future, if we ever go to a real-life operation, these packs would be then lost for the market. I have already talked about the expiry date case in the year 22. What was interesting about this case is that the OBP uploaded the batch with the wrong expiry date. To be more explicit, the year was wrong. I think it was 1 year earlier than the batch expires. Month and day were correct, but the year was wrong. The pre-wholesaler did a goods receipt check. He also checked for 2 weeks every day. We saw the alerts. He also informed the MAH that there is something wrong with the expiry date. However, after 2 weeks, there was a market demand for this batch, and the Austrian entity, that is not the MAH, but is the Austrian entity of the MAH, decided, yeah, we have to deliver the products to end users, and we had 250 alerts within 2 days. Although 2 weeks time would have passed where this error already could have been corrected. And finally, accidentally decommissioned. This is also an ongoing case that started in April this year. The warehouse is using the MAH's OBP credentials. He decommissioned packs for Article 23 customers, so packs that the delegated regulation allows to be decommissioned. But maybe the warehouse was a little bit too enthusiastic and decommissioned a little bit more than the requested number of packs. These packs then were put into saleable stock, were delivered to mainly public pharmacies and dispensing doctors. We saw these alerts. Unfortunately, it also took us 2 weeks together with the OBP to confirm the error. First, the OBP denied that his user had decommissioned the packs, although the data situation was clear. Then he denied that they were decommissioned for the wrong reason. However, 10 days have been more than passed, so there is no possibility to correct this issue. 50 packs have already caused alerts, and according to the MAH, we are about to expect around 200 alerts, because that's the number of packs that were decommissioned too much in the warehouse. So with these examples, I wanted to give you, I have one more slide, because of course we have follow-up actions on all these issues that I want to present to you, of course. So when we see that a whole batch is affected, or that a very large number of packs within a batch is affected, then we inform immediately our NCA. This is the first bullet point, and we also, this is the last bullet point, we inform the full-line wholesalers, so that the market is informed that there is a situation where we have to expect a lot of alerts for a certain product. Also, if there is this is the second bullet point, if we see that a non-uploaded serial number, so if it's clear that it is not a scanner issue, for example, we have the picture of the pack, we see the serial numbers complies to the alert data, so there is no scanner or software issue, and the OBP still cannot confirm his error within 3 working days, we also inform the NCA on a potential falsification, because if the data confirm, then it's either non-uploaded or it's really a falsification. So we do this after 3 working days have passed. So we can say, as a conclusion, our engagement with the NCA is enhanced, and we prepare for an operational phase, and encourage also our NCA to work together with us on the alert management.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. So there have been some related questions. Very quick up front is we share the slides.
Yes,
also,
they should be on the screen.
On the website, already on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then on the website also, because when someone cannot attend the whole session. Just a question to the blind passenger topics. Is this something which more or less all companies are affected of, or is this a limited number of companies who have this issue?
I cannot talk for 100%, but I can say that all relevant, more or less all relevant companies are affected, some more, some less. Sometimes it's always only 1 or 2 serial numbers that are missing in a batch. Sometimes we have batches where 10, 20 are missing. I've also been talking to some companies on a conference a couple of weeks ago, if it is always related to the same manufacturer, the same plant, but they also said no, it goes also through several contract manufacturers. They can also not limit it to a certain company where they are customers. So yeah, it's a general issue for some more, and for some less.
Have root causes been identified, or is this just randomly? Or?
Yeah, if it's a high number, then mainly it's that the data are really missing. If the number is lower, so if it's only a couple of serial numbers in a batch, then we are told that sometimes it's that the people on the machine take out packs to have a quality control. The number is removed from the uploaded data set, and then they forget to reissue. Or some packs are removed automatically from the packaging line. So also the serial numbers have to be removed from the system. Then a visual check is performed with these packs. If the packs are declared to be good, to be returned into saleable stock, then of course also the serial number has to be again changed into the data set of serial numbers to be uploaded into the system.
So it's very much about internal processes, training, so the usual things. So some questions in the chat. First is the question, it's somehow related, of course, to the alert rate, but it came a little bit earlier. So are there any circumstances when serialization is dropped or can be dropped, for example, during now the pandemic scenario?
So let me take that. Generally speaking, no. I mean, serialization and the law on serialization is very clear. So if you have RX products, those need to be serialized. Obviously, the Delegated Act talks about whitelisted products. So those are RX products which are extracted from excluded from serialization, but that's only a very limited number of very bulky products, only going to hospital and things like that. Also, during the pandemic, the only thing that was quite common was using one cheat-in for all of Europe, but dropping serialization was not something that national competent authorities or the Commission had granted to anyone.
Yeah, and also, if it's already been implemented for a certain product on the package line, there is no reason to remove this implementation.
Okay, clear. So then there's a question, which alerts are currently forwarded to the OBPs as level 5 alerts? Respectively, which alert type undergo special handling and are not in any case forwarded, despite the fact that they are basically amongst those defined as level 5 alerts?
So level 5 alerts, so all level 5 alerts are forwarded to the OBP. This is an automatic process that is done. National system creates end user creates the level 5 alert. National system forwards it to the EU hub. EU hub forwards it to the OBP. And all these alerts that are forwarded to you, you have to analyze and come back to us within 3 working days, but we will talk about it later. And the two alert categories are more or less data could not be found, batch, serial number, or expiry date could not be found or are different to the one stored in the system. This is the one big category. And the other big category is when a pack is decommissioned a second time or is decommissioned and the status does not match. For example, if a sample is decommissioned a second time.
In regards to wrong serial numbers, what happens at the pharmacy level in this case? Are there complaints involved, credit note requests involved, or returns involved?
Currently not, but we will maybe answer that when we go to the start phase.
Yes, so we keep this
Yeah.
question. And an additional question to the blind passenger. Blind passenger are based on a variety of reasons, and as aggregations is not mandatory in the EU, are very challenging to be completely avoided. So this is obviously a comment to that. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for that. So one question goes back to your part, Christoph. So the question is about the share of the scan rate in percentage of the market size.
Yeah, I can talk about that. We don't have a slide on that. But what we see when we compare the scan rate to what IQVIA is projecting the Austrian market to be, we're within the 90% range, I would say. So last year and also last couple of months, the number of scans is over 90% of what the market is supposed to be. So from our perspective, that is a very reasonable and very good size of scanning in Austria.
And we would get rid of the rest of it once the 1D barcodes are eliminated,
Maybe,
right?
yes.
Okay, maybe.
Getting rid of 1D barcodes is obviously going to help in increasing the scanning rate even further. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So far to that. I think with that, I hand over to Rita Freitag, quality management, with some news about the change request procedure and the validation system.
Thank you.
So, Rita, please.
So, hello and welcome also from my side. Every now and then, we are contacted by some of you regarding quality-related topics, and we thought this would be a good opportunity if I jump in my role as quality manager and present two of those. I start right away with the topic of change control. It's important for me to mention that each change requested to the AMVS will be reviewed not only within our customer group, but also by the two other customer groups, SolidSoft and EMVO. And it's also very important to mention that each change request will be evaluated if it is compliant with the delegated regulation and the AMVS user requirement specifications. It's also worth mentioning that it is a controlled and proceduralized process, not only locally within our own QMS, but also within the customer groups, reflected by the change advisory boards, and across the customer groups, defined by the EU CCB, the European Change Control Board, which ultimately approves all changes for a release. Then, lastly, to mention with regards to change control, it is a very strongly interlinked process with other processes, such as validation, release, and deployment. And this is something that leads me directly to the next topic I briefly want to talk about. It's validation. So validation, our validation strategy is based on GAM5 principles. For those who are familiar with computerized validation will know this V model you see on screen. Each change request is tested and validated. We have two different parts to testing. First, we start with the vendor testing, in our case, Avato, who is performing functional testing, safety testing, performance testing, and such. And then we go to the next phase, which is the customer testing, where we as NMVOs get together and test the new system, the new features, in a joint approach. This is called the so-called joint user acceptance test. At this point in time, we also do the interoperability testing, which is led by EMVO, where we make sure that our changes to the system do not impact the other two systems, or if we know that there is an impact, that the results are as expected. Last but not least, we can also do local testing activities. Some countries require that, depending on their local setup and specificities. And finally, once all the validation and testing activities are done, and all the reports are written, and the results are leveraged, and we accept the release as a customer, we move on to the next process, which is release and deployment, which finally means that a new release with new system features will be deployed on production system. And this is it, in a nutshell, two important processes, at least important from a quality perspective, but basically also daily business for us in the AMVS. Are there any questions from the audience?
Maybe from the industry perspective, is it possible? And if yes, how can the industry also submit change requests?
Yes, so it is possible. If it is a major change, always contact your European stakeholders, FPIA. They will then trigger the process. And if you have any questions before that, some technical details or some guidance, you can also contact us in the AMVS.
Okay, so thank you for that. I have currently no further question on this topic, maybe come a little bit later, because there is one question to the topic before. An additional question in regards of the forwarding of the level 5 alerts. Isn't it implemented that, for example, double decommission at pharmacy level generating a level 5 alert is in fact not automatically forwarded to the OBP, meaning not all level 5 alerts are forwarded still?
So that is not the case for Austria at this moment. Conceptually, what is the reason for that? Because we don't know who is, it's not always clear who has been the one who has done the first decommission attempt. We see situations where that first decommissioning is performed by the industry and not by different end users. Therefore, at this point, we're still sticking with all alerts being forwarded, and that is the European model as well, as far as I know.
Yeah. Just not every double decommissioning creates a level 5 alert. Maybe that's the background of this question. National systems react differently. This is still something that can be implemented nationally. So, for example, the Austrian system, if the same pharmacy dispenses a pack several times, the 5th attempt creates a level 5 alert. The 5th and every further attempt.
And this is then forwarded, of course.
This then is forwarded. So the second, the third and the fourth are not forwarded because in Austria they are not classified as level 5 alerts. In Germany, for example, it's much more stronger. There, as far as I know, if the second decommission is done after 15 minutes, then it's already a level 5 alert. And then it's also forwarded to the OBP, I guess.
When a German pack is decommissioned in Austria, there's also 5 decommissioned? No, it's...
There is still, there's the same, because it's always, in the current moment, it's always related to the system that has the data, let's say it like this. But there are some change requests already in Europe, that it would make more sense to adopt this to the rules of the country where the scanning company or the scanning pharmacy is sitting, but this will take some time until this is implemented.
But at the moment, if a German pack gets decommissioned the second time within 15 minutes by the same end user, it will not raise an alert. If we're outside the 15-minute window, it will create an alert.
Yes.
And a question from the very beginning of the session, I think it fits now a little bit to that what you said about the transparency of the decommissioner. So the question is, as an OBP, can we find out who decommissioned a serial number?
No. straight answer. The way the system is operating and has been aligned by all the stakeholders in Brussels, so AMVS stakeholders being FBA and Medicines for Europe for the industry, GIRP and AME for wholesalers and parallel traders, as well as PGU for the pharmacists, and also by what is written in the DR. Industry does not have the right to see who has created this alert unless the impacted end user decides to share with them. Also, we at AMVS are not at liberty to hand out that information, but obviously we can translate between the two.
Yes. Sometimes this goes to the, for example, to the blind passenger bag. Sometimes a company wants to get the blind passenger bag back, and then we forward the company contacts to the end user, and it's up to the end user to decide if he takes advantage of this data and contacts the pharmaceutical company. But we are not allowed to pass on any end user details to an MAH or OBP without confirmation by the end user.
And just not jumping ahead too far, but that communication, while anonymized, will be much easier with the European Alert Management System in the future.
So, okay, so this leads perfectly to the more technical part, and you will jump in for Peter Berger about the new system features. So please.
Yes, I hope I can be a little bit adequate replacement. I want to present two changes to you that, of course, have been adopted according to the procedure that Rita has presented a couple of minutes before. The first one is the so-called scanner configuration check. This feature will be implemented in autumn of this year in all Avato customer group countries. And this change to the system will enable the system to perform a character or an uppercase, lowercase swap in case of three alert types: serial number not found, batch not found, and serial number found in another batch. You also have the EU Hub alert codes in brackets. So one very common issue is still the Y and Z issue. If you have listened carefully to my coding rules presentation, and if you have listened to them a couple of years ago, you might have missed the slide where I asked you not to use Y and Z within your character set. This has been removed due to this new system feature. So, if, for example, a not found serial number containing a Y, like is here marked in green, is submitted to the system, before an alert is raised, the system swaps the Y into Z and looks if there is this serial number with the Z. If the serial number with the Z is found, no alert is raised. The end user receives a success message and an additional so-called sub-return code where he is informed, yeah, the transaction was successful, but you have a scanner configuration issue that might cause problems at another time point. But for this pack, he will not receive a level 5 alert, and also the OBP will not receive a level 5 alert, and the OBP will receive no information at all about this event because after the ticket swap, the serial number could be found. So we will implement this for Y and Z. We will implement this also for special characters in batches, for example, the
dash and the 7.
Thank you very much. Dash and the 7, or some other special characters that are used quite often in batches, or are used sometimes, to be honest. And of course, we will also implement it for uppercase and lowercase. So, for example, if a scanner, if the caps lock on a scanner is activated and all serial numbers are submitted in small letters instead of capital letters, then also no alerts will be raised anymore after the implementation of this so-called scanner configuration check. That will be around September, October this year. The second one is a change to the European hub, not to the national system. This is the NHRN check that I have already referred to during coding. So when you will create new master data after this, the implementation should be this month, so at least at the end of June, it will be already applicable. Then you will be informed by the EU hub that something is wrong with the NHRN if you upload if you do not enter any NHRN, or if you enter an NHRN that does not comply with the Austrian format how an NHRN is created. That means the system checks if the NHRN contains only of numbers, if it has 7 digits, and if the last digit, the check digit, is correctly calculated out of the 6 digits before. Of course, the system can, if all these 3 checks are okay, then you will be allowed to create master data. Of course, the system cannot have a look if you really used the NHRN that has been issued to you by the Austrian association that creates the PZN for the companies. This, of course, cannot be done by the system. I don't want to go into detail in this slide. It's for you to have a look at it afterwards. This is the system, how a check digit is calculated. So if the PZN complies with this very complicated mathematics formula, then the master data will be created and will be uploaded into the Austrian system. And this check, I think, will be implemented for some other countries as well that have mandatory NHRN upload, like Spain or Portugal, and I think also for Germany. Yeah, these are the system features.
So thank you, Daniel. So what do you think would be the impact on our alert rate?
To be honest, on our alert rate, I don't expect a very big impact because our alert rate is already quite low. Currently, we have around 5 Y and Z alerts per day, but if we go to 100, this is still 5%. We have around 100 alerts, so it's not nothing. But for the OBPs definitely will benefit from that, because I think from other countries like Spain or Germany, you will receive much less alerts than you receive today. So this is a European change for all of our 2 countries, and OBPs definitely will benefit from this change. For Austria, the benefit is not so big, but in total, it will be a very good feature for you.
And in relation to the character swap functionality, is there any procedure in place to make sure that the end user then adapts the configuration of the scanner?
Of course, we cannot. We cannot force them, but still, as I said, there will be a sub-return code, and we still will have the information that there is something wrong there, and we have a very good relationship with the big software suppliers of the end users, and if we see that an end user constantly has this problem, we will still inform the software supplier of the end user, because we don't know if maybe other things that are not related to serialization will also cause issues at this end user location.
Yeah, so we will not change our current procedures in that regard. We're contacting those end users today, either directly via the software providers, via the Chamber of Pharmacists, and we will do so in the future as well.
Yes.
So it's a customer relation management topic.
Of course, yes.
Sitting with Mr.
Very good. Okay, so I think the best comes at the end. And Christoph, I think you give us the information about the start phase and the alert management system.
Yeah, so let me take you through our current state. So as you know, we're still in start phase operations already since 2020. We're analyzing the alerts. We're not categorizing them as potential falsifications just yet. Packs are checked for integrity, but the final decision on depending them is still with the end user here in Austria. During the time, we have already had a lot of contact with the NCA as well on making sure that relevant duties of all end users, but also OBPs, MEHs and so forth, are followed. So we have been in contact with wherever there have been some issues. And we're still following the ongoing evaluation with the representatives of MVO and of the National Competent Authority to come to an end to this start phase. And we believe that the AMVS Digital Alert Management tool that I will talk about shortly is a very big step in taking us exactly there. At the moment, you see the process around the potential incident falsification as it is described in the startup phase, and the duties of the industry in that case, analysis of all the level 5 alerts, exclusion of falsification within 3 days, and correction within 10 days. That is the case today. That will not change significantly after we go to the operational phase. We're informing NCA and the end user if a process error has occurred, and also if OBPs are not able to help to clear out falsification cases within 3 days, we have to inform the National Competent Authority about that. Here you see again visualized. There's 3 days to come back with information in case there is in case you have an alert that is OBP triggered, and there are 10 days to correct them. That's the current state. Obviously, if there is 3 days and you're still waiting for a reply from a contract manufacturer or so forth, and you let us know about that, then we can basically also inform NCA accordingly, but that's the way the game goes. Okay, with that, let me talk about the AMS, the European Alert Management System. You see here the cascade. Basically, we have the AMS hub in the middle, so the Alert Management Hub sits in the middle, and it's being fed from both sides, essentially. Yeah? So you have the OBP systems, which basically gives information, put information into the AMS hub, and you have the National Alert Management System, where AMVS, NCA, and also the end users can feed information into the AMS hub, which is then exchanging and combining those informations. Connection for OBPs and MEHs, as said, is via EMVO to the AMS hub. Connections for end users, NCA and us, is via our Austrian AMVS Digital Alert Management System called ADAM. I've put here one slide with advantages for using the AMS hub. We believe that it's very crucial that most, if not all, MEHs, OBPs start using that tool. I just saw slides earlier today. We're around 30% there, but there is still a need to get more and more OBPs connected to make this a fully fledged working model in the future. The tool is free of charge for all of you. It helps with user management. It can assign alerts and access levels. You have a view on alert data from all countries which are participating in the AMS. You can directly process alerts there, so therefore eliminating all this email communication, which is burdensome, as I understand. You always have a current view of the status of an alert, and we have synchronized communication as well. So whenever there's information given, the end user sees the information immediately, the NMVO sees it immediately, the NCA sees it immediately. And we think that is highly important and very much helps with cleaning out alerts as quickly as possible. Uploaded information can be seen in the tool immediately. We have a very nice feature in our ADAM tool that allows a quick photo snap that can then be uploaded to the system and can immediately be seen by you guys in the industry. and information of the status for all concerned parties is there all the time. You have here the details on how to connect to the EAMS, so to the hub side of things. All links on the EMVO homepage. There is the portal being developed by EMVO. There is also the ability to connect via APIs. So basically connecting your current alert management tool that you guys have been using for the last couple of years, probably in most cases already, that can also be connected directly. I'll just quickly also explain what we are doing here in Austria with the end users. We see quite a big advantage for all of us. End user advantage obviously is that no more email communication. Chamber of Pharmacists has been quite clear with us that that is very much preferred to have a system-related communication style instead of the emails that we have flowing around today. Our end users can process the alerts directly when they are generated. They can do so later. They have a web portal or they have API. We in Austria prefer for them to have web portal, to use the web portal, and we can classify and suggest root causes already based on data that we have collected, on a lot of insight that we have collected over the last couple of years. For us in the NMVO, there's also significant advantages. We can group alerts. We can process them simultaneously when we close them out. We can always see the remaining reaction time. So if we talk about the 3 days we talked about earlier, we always see how much is still left of these 3 days, and we can basically interact with the end users, with the OBP, if we see this is getting close. And also the escalation to the NCA is optimized, which is very handy and helpful for us. That's a quick look on how the interface is going to, how the web surface for end users is going to look. We have all the information about the alerts on here, the status, the remaining processing time, as I just talked about, and also a cost category. So in 95% of all alerts that are being raised in Austria, we pretty much see immediately what is causing them, what is the issue here. Yeah? So in the example that you have here on the screen, we see that the given element was truncated. So we see, if we look down here, this given serial number has 1 digit less than the stored serial number. So we immediately know that, okay, the scanner has cut off 1 serial number with a very, very high likelihood. And therefore, we will just ask the end user to confirm that with a second scan that he performed, he basically has been able to dispense the pack properly and that the alert can be closed again. On the bottom left, you see the feature I talked about, which is the mobile upload. So you push the mobile upload button, you get a screen, QR code on your screen that you scan, and then you can take a picture and basically upload directly into the system. Yeah, so these are the final conclusions on that area. As mentioned before, both AMVS and also the NCA are encouraging all MEHs and OBPs to start participating in EAMS. We think it's the right thing to do to handle alerts more conclusively across all of Europe. We have already informed the software suppliers of our end users that we want to implement ADAM here in Austria. We have gotten has been quite well received by the software suppliers, but also by the Chamber of Pharmacists and the end users here in Austria. We're starting a bit of a test phase over the summer. We still have to do a couple of modifications to the tool that we're using. Those will come in towards the end of the year, and I think then we will get going with starting that, with starting processing all alerts with the tool, and that will take us a major step closer to closing for us out start phase operations as well. Okay, I think that's all that we have.
So thank you. Quick question in regards of the connection to ADAM. So the recommendation for the industry is to connect also with the ADAM.
So the ADAM connection to ADAM is only for end users. As I showed on the slide before, I'll quickly go back. You see here the right side, so the national IMS, that's the ADAM tool. And here we have connection for NMVO, for the NCA, and for the end users. The OBPs and the MEHs, we need to connect to the AMS hub. via the OBP side. So that's a connection with EMVO. As mentioned, we have here how to do that on the slide that we currently see on the screen.
Okay, good. So there are a few questions still in the chat. So first one is the character swap check going to be in the AMS system also from September, October onwards?
It's in all countries using Avato system. I'm looking over to Rita if she knows if the SolidSoft countries are implementing something.
Not at the current level. Yeah? At the current moment, they will not, because quite frankly, the problems are not existent on the SolidSoft side of things. That's more in the bigger countries, but it's not in the AMS tool because there are no more alerts created. So having it in an alert management system would not be possible anymore.
It's in the national systems. The national systems don't create alerts anymore for the described situations, and so no alerts are transferred via the EU hub to the OBPs. So in this CONNEX, it's implemented to the AMVS.
Okay, is it correct to conclude that ADAM will be fully integrated with the EAMS, the European Alert Management System, allowing the OBP to just work in the EAMS and no need to work in both ADAM and EAMS? I think you answered it already.
Yeah, well, conceptually, yes.
Yes.
ADAM will be fully integrated into the AMS hub and therefore into the EAMS landscape. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Does the tool email a stakeholder when something is updated on the alert in AMS? Obviously, yes. No, not email. No. It's not an email. It's only in the AMS. Yeah. No email. Okay.
Probably will be up to the implementation of your specific OBP software if there is some kind of notification implemented.
Yeah. So this was also the objective of the AMS, to get rid of the email.
Rid of thousands of emails. Yeah.
Exactly. Good. How many countries, respectively NMVOs, are participating in the EAMS at the moment?
That's work in progress. We have, I believe, about 6 or 7 countries already connected, and that's the part that is steadily being worked on.
Countries.
Both on Avato and SolidSoft side. There's more countries coming. Obviously, there is QA process involved in getting them all connected. We had the pilot phase until March this year. We have more countries coming, but Austria is rather on the forefront here.
Okay, so thank you for that. So we are perfectly on time. There are currently no further questions in the chat. If you do not have any further remarks to the audience, I would like to thank you, of course, as a speaker and preparing this information event. I would like to thank also the audience for participation and lively asking questions. And of course, I would like to thank all of you who make this project overall successful. Let me just point out that next Monday we have a similar event, but with the possibility to attend in presence at the Hotel Kaiserwasser in Vienna. So this will be in German. And we'll also start at 3 p.m. And as a special feature, we offer a get-together afterwards, and we will be happy also to see some of you, which we cannot see now, but of course all the German-speaking industry members of the system. Good. With that, I think I haven't forgot anything.
Just to point out, as you know, AMVS is always available. All information can be found on our homepage. You also have the contact details here. Can be reached via LinkedIn. Please let us know if there's anything we can help you guys with. And with that, all the best from Vienna, and looking forward to see some of you on Monday.
Goodbye, and have a nice day.